So welcome and hello, this is Heather Bayer, co-founder of the Vacation Rental Formula and the host of the Vacation Rental Success podcast. Welcome to our business spotlight. And spotlighted today is TouchStay, the digital guest guide. And I'm so pleased to welcome Andy McNulty from TouchStay and also Andy Medic,
hello,
Sea Change Vacation Rentals in Delaware, who is a super user of TouchStay. So, Andy, let's start with you. I've known you far too many years. When I start looking back, I think we have known each other for a long, long time. And you have been such a powerhouse in this industry for so long, with so many different products and different services you brought on board. But tell me about TouchStay, because this is the one that's really, it seems to have really stuck. Certainly stuck with me, because I'm also a super user of TouchStay. So how did it come about? How did you get to the concept of TouchStay and worked out how important it was going to be to your customer base?
Well, we actually created TouchStay a lot longer ago than people think. We started working on it in 2013. And it came about because I experienced the welcome binder as a guest. And I'm sure many other guests had the same thought, which was you spend a lot of money on a week away somewhere, sometimes more than you would spend on anything else in the year, aside from your mortgage. And then you show up, and these days, I think most times you're fairly confident of what you're going to get. But nonetheless, regardless of whether it was a great place or a lousy place, there was always this paper binder on the coffee table, and it was always fairly unloved. And it always seemed such a shame, because it was 5 minutes later that I would call the owner or the manager and say, I've got kids who love ice cream, where's the best place to go? And it was instant. I got the answer. So it was all these nuggets of gold that were sat inside the host and the manager's head that never made it through to this paper version, or did, but I couldn't see it because the page had got lost 2 years ago, or I got coffee spilled on it. Yeah, and I thought it was such a shame. But it was also interesting because I thought, what a dog this must be to maintain. Fancy having to maintain this across 50 properties or something. Whereas if there was a digital version, not only could I get all that information down for the guest, and it wouldn't disappear, and it wouldn't get coffee stained or dog-eared, but I could update it once from my computer and have it appear on all 50 of my homes. So there was this kind of aha moment where we thought, well, this has surely got to work. So that was 2013. Myself and my co-founder, Joe, dabbled in it for a while. It was more of a side gig, and we both held down full-time corporate jobs. And it wasn't until 2017, 2018 that we thought this has really got legs, because there was a period of time where people thought, yeah, it's great, but I'm going to stay with my paper one. I've got a PDF. And the world shifted, and digital happened, and people gravitated towards it. And then fast forward to where we are today, it's become something that I think most people would decide that they would want to have because of remote hosting, not being able to get into homes as frequently, some concerns around cleaning probably, that it just makes it so much more obvious. So we've grown. We're at around about 10,000 properties that actively use the platform now. What's quite interesting is that the number of guests that use it is huge. And you kind of think when you create this product, will people use it or won't they use it? And we have anecdotal feedback from people saying, my guests love it, and I've had great feedback. But we actually see the data as well. So in peak months, there can be roughly 10 times the number of guests per guidebook. So if we've got 10,000 active properties in peak months, we can have 100,000 plus guests using it. And that's really interesting, that there's definite draw and appeal from guests, which validates in a way the two sides. The property managers and the owners have come to the product, and now we're seeing the guests come to the product. So yeah, that's a bit of backstory about where we started and where it is now.
Well, I know from being a user myself, property manager with 150 properties, that, I certainly understand that whole issue of the paper manuals. It was nightmare. Every Saturday we would be dealing with all those queries from people saying, asking the questions or saying, I can't find it. That was, I can't find the guest guide. And we said, there is a cottage welcome book, but they couldn't find it. So we have found that this has been pretty revolutionary from us. But I just want to go over to Andy Medic from Sea Change Vacation Rentals and ask you, Andy, what are the main benefits that you have found for you and your guests?
Hi guys. Where do I start? When I was asking around the staff, and I looked through a selection of our online guest reviews, there was a lot of really good positive feedback. So, making a few kind of notes, I grouped them really into three areas. At a high level for us, when we were first looking around for a better solution for our old manual written guest books, when we look at software company providers, it's as important to us that the relationship with the company is really good. That's equally as important as the tool itself. And with the TouchStay guide, guys, it's just phenomenal. Every one of my staff had the same positive feedback that Tom and I, the company owners, had when we first chatted with Andy and with Tyann. So yeah, great relationship with the company. And then the other two areas I had on the back end, everybody that's working with it internally in my organization, they're common in the same things. It's an intuitive interface. It's easy to add, edit, hide, or remove pages. The navigation is easy. It's really made the onboarding process for new properties. It's really improved that for us, the efficiency of it and the speed of it, which is making us look really good in our owner's eyes. So thank you very much. The main thing I think I got really was the template-driven nature of the product. You can build a blueprint for the guest books, and you can then easily, all the common elements that are consistent among properties, you just build that one time, and then you can go in and customize per property, Wi-Fi codes, that kind of thing. And then what's really cool, we love on the back end that you can, a guest will say, oh yeah, the guide is good. Or they'll call and they'll say, on the opposite end, they'll say, oh, what's the Wi-Fi code? And we'll say, it's in your welcome guide. And then we can actually drill down and see if they actually landed on that page in the welcome guide. Did they actually read it? And on the front end, it's really nice to see the reviews of this tool appearing in our live real-time guest reviews. Guests absolutely love it. They love the app. They love the search facility. They call us and they say, what's a great ice cream store that we were talking about earlier on? And you can just say, search restaurant recommendations in the search bar, and they just draw right down to it. And I had one overriding quote that one of my staff said, which really sums up a lot of the feedback that came from guests. He said, and I quote, "TouchStay has been a pleasure to use, and I can say that great experience is passed on to our guests." So, there's no downside to this. It's all good. And I can say from a personal standpoint, I used to maintain our old Word document formatted welcome guides, and they were an absolute beast to maintain. Not just in terms of making sure the information is current, but also in terms of the printing costs, the maintenance costs, getting them rolled out to the properties, and then even finding them on a turnover. They're never put back where they were found on guest arrival. So you're turning upside down coffee tables and underneath beds looking for the darn welcome guide, and you don't have to do that anymore. This is a great tool. I can recommend it unanimously.
Tell me about the support, because I know, you briefly touched on that. You mentioned, Andy, Joe, Tyann, but I know from using any platform that the support is just so important. Could you, give an example of how the support has been with your TouchStay experience?
Well, I think it comes down to a partnership. It's rare, I think, surprisingly rare with a vendor partner, that they are really a true partner with you in your business, and that they share the same goal in terms of ultimately guest satisfaction. That's what we're looking at. Not all of our vendors have that kind of attitude. Sometimes I feel when I call for support with a company that we're engaged with, I sometimes feel like I'm inconveniencing them, and you definitely do not get that impression when you call for help in TouchStay. And you can, anything from the Facebook group, the TouchStay Rockstars, which is a great resource. You could just shoot a quick question in there, and either one of the users will reply, or somebody from TouchStay will reply. And it's generally within 2 hours. It's really fast. The support's great. Do I have a specific example? Probably more in the earlier days. The onboarding for us as a new customer with TouchStay, it was really very painless.
Yeah, certainly from my experience too. And I love the Facebook group, and your community ambassador, Andy Tyann, is just an absolute star. She because she's a user too. She's got her own properties, so she's using this on a day-to-day basis and passing on all her expertise. And I know I find that really, really valuable. So Andy, where's TouchStay going? What do you have improvements in the pipeline?
Yeah, absolutely. It's never been a product that stayed still. What's interesting for me is when you think about, let's convert a Word or a PDF into a digital product, it opens up so many other possibilities to do things that you didn't think were possible or that weren't possible with a Word or a PDF. Just simple stuff like we just added a weather widget in the last couple of months. So, you can't put that on a Word doc. So now you've got weather that updates every day. Lots of those little things that aren't kind of big bang stuff because that's already there, but they incrementally add to the product. And we've got, on last count, 80 plus items on our feature wish list. And what's important is that they're never things that we have come up with on our own. They're almost always driven by customers through the Rockstars group, or actually an onboarding process like Andy described. One of the things that we like to do in the onboarding process is do a demo, and then once we've onboarded someone, do a handover training. And it's really interesting during those calls to hear, does it do that? And I sit there and I go, ooh, no, but that's a great idea. And that's how we build the product. And so, yes, to answer your question, Heather, there are a bunch of things that are coming. Some of which are pretty basic, like statistics, being able to have more statistics on. Right now you can see how many views you've got, but soon you'll be able to do all sorts of things with statistics. Being able to turn on email capture or not. These are just some of the things that will be coming. We've also toyed in the last year with different iterations of the product. And I know, Heather, that you've utilized one of these versions. Which we've called Guide to Anything, because it's a guide to guests right now, but really it's a content system where you can create a guide to anything you want. So I know that you've created a guide that you send to your owners about what it's like, or what you require, and what your expectations are when someone comes and puts their property with you. And I think that's really interesting.
We've actually got 3 or 4 now. So we have our owner information pack, which is what we send to owners when they first contact us. And that used to be a PDF, and now it's a digital guide. And then when they decide they want to come with us and we go and do an inspection, it expands out into an evaluation visit guide, which tells them what we'll be looking for and the questions we're going to ask when we get there. And that has been incredibly valuable for owners because they know what to expect. And then it expands even further. When they register with us, it becomes the owner manual, and we just add in more stuff. And that is just in one single TouchStay account. And we have all those different things built into it. So, I see endless possibilities. And that we're working on a staff handbook as well now. So,
yeah, I mean, people have asked, like, can it be a training manual? Can it be a staff handbook? Can it be... somebody wanted to use it for their lift business recently, their elevator business. I had someone the other day asking me, can I put my training skills workshops in there? So yeah, there are lots of possibilities, but I think that the struggle that we, like any software vendor, like anyone in business would face, is not getting distracted by lots and lots of things. And that is quite important here. Whilst we think we've got a content management system and it can be used for different purposes, each of those different purposes often come with their own kind of, but I just need it to do something else. So my business is a little bit different. And you end up building things for very specific niche parts, which is not really what we want to do. So it is a guide to anything, but I would say more in the sort of the travel sector, the ones you've given, not the elevator company and that kind of stuff. That's not really our core yet.
So in this business then, is it more suited to individual owners or to property managers, or is it, open to all and everybody's going to get the same benefit from it?
Yeah, it's open to all. We have a self-serve, so you can come and sign up and run through a 14-day free trial. We deliberately have our email sequence going out to you if you sign up for a 14-day free trial as a non-sales kind of email flow. We're very kind of lighthearted. We try to be humorous in it, but certainly no hard sell. And that's typically what an Airbnb host or a property manager with a few properties comes and tries. When you're in kind of Andy's range, when you're a much larger property manager, then you end up coming onto a separate onboarding process. So we'll do the things that Andy described. We'll work with you to make sure that the system's set up for you on day one, that you're not having to figure out things on your own. We do the training session, that we're available after that, all that kind of stuff. And the platform itself doesn't care whether you're a share a room Airbnb host or you're a 600 plus property manager. It's a content management system. You can add as many properties as you want. You can sync things up to the template like Andy was describing and then go and tweak individual properties. So we don't have a specific target size of customer in mind. It's much more about, do you have a guest staying with you that needs to know stuff? Yes, then it's something that will work for you.
Perfect. Andy in Delaware, last word from you. What would you say to somebody who is watching this and is considering moving from their PDF format to a digital guest guide?
What are you waiting for? You pick up that phone, make the call. It's going to make your life so much easier, and you will, trust me. Staplers won't like you because you will not be going to buy so much copier paper. But no, go ahead, do it. It's a great product, and they're a great company to work with.
That's great. Andy in UK, what if somebody's interested, having watched this, they'd like to know more, what do they do now?
Just go to touchday.com. There's a sign up button in the top right hand side. It's a 14-day free trial like I described. Get a feel for it, have a play around with it. We don't ask you for your card details. So if your 14-day free trial expires and you don't want it, you won't get charged. But it comes with those emails, that email sequence. And one of them is access to the Rockstars group, the private Facebook group that Andy mentioned. So you'll get invited to that. You can come and check that out. We also have at the top of the homepage a demo button, and that demo button will allow you to see an example of a fake guide that we've created called Beach Retreat, but it also has below it example guides, and that allows you to go to a page where you can see, I think there's about 9 different guides that we put on there from different customer types. So there's a property manager in Seattle, there's a single host in Asheville, North Carolina, and then there's a glamping site in the UK. So you can kind of take a look at what other people have done and created whilst you're playing with the 14-day free trial. And then whether you want to go ahead or not after that, it's entirely up to you. Obviously, we would love for you to go ahead, but you won't get hard sold to here. You'll get friendly faces, you get personable approach. So that's the next steps.
Well, thank you both for joining me today on this Business Spotlight. It's been great learning more about TouchStay and hearing from one of your super users, Andy in UK. This has been fun with the two Andys here. I can't even say Andy M because both of your surnames begin with M as well. Andy McNulty, Andy Medic. Thank you so much. And thank you, TouchStay. So if you want to know more about TouchStay, you can go to the TouchStay Business Spotlight page on vacationrentalformula.com. and all the information will be on there, and you'll be able to contact Andy and hear from other super users as well. So thank you, everybody. It's been a great discussion.
Thank you, Heather. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you both.